we are very early in the FinOps ITAM relationship and other stakeholders relationship too, right? I mean, I think even the FinOps Foundation it's not exactly 20, 30 years old. You know, the FinOps term even kind of initially, you know, you had DevOps, you had FinOps, you had digital transformation, all these kind of buzzwords. It feels like, you know, FinOps is probably the one that's lasted that test of time. That's turned into not being a buzzword. You know, DevOps isn't a buzzword, but, you know, FinOps is really playing a key role. But, you know, I feel like we're still quite early, right? So all of us are still trying to figure out how we work internally with stakeholders, how that relationship works, the language that we all use, how can we, you know, get that terminology standardized so that we all understand what we're talking about and make sense to each other. And, you know, there are organizations that are only just starting to look at moving stuff into the cloud. You know, they've got physical. I saw a really cool video actually on LinkedIn. I think it was from someone's TikTok or whatever, of walking around the server room after a mass migration to the cloud, and it was just cables and wires everywhere, and poor old servers had been decommissioned and probably sent off for ITAT. And yeah, it was a reminder that, you know, the whole cloud and FinOps landscape is going to change quite dramatically what an IT department looks like, right? An IT department always had a server room that you'd go in, there'd be aircon units going, there'd be fans going, there'd be that hum and that whiz of like all the machines and the servers that are on. And, you know, that's in 20 years time when, you know, my children and, you know, people, you know, the next generation are coming up, I go, you had a whole room full of servers.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it'll get to that point where the people who are actually, you know, physically interfacing with the hardware will be as rare as hen's teeth, because they'll be working for Amazon, Azure, for Microsoft, for Google, Alibaba, and others in their wake, but they will be so rare.
Yeah, gone are the days where it's going to be a case of, oh, I've got to go into the office on a Saturday, I've got to reboot a server, or I've got to go in because the temperature in the server room isn't cool enough. Yeah, I really do wonder as FinOps and the cloud kind of takes off, what the next generation, you know, because even my generation looks at things that the previous generation go, what? Why are you doing that? What do you mean you only had like a 512 megabyte hard drive? Where's the gigabytes? Where's the terabytes? You know what I mean? I feel like that evolution, like even things like server rooms, going to be like, why? Why are we spending so much money to keep these things cool? Why are they not in the cloud? Why isn't someone else looking after the tins? Like,
well, I mean, I still have flashbacks to, you know, when I went to uni back in '97, and we learnt about the OSI 7-layer reference model.
what is that?
Okay, right. So this is the model that turns the electricity from the wall into the bold and underline in your Word document. And there are 7 layers through which you go from physical to network to application to presentation layer, communications, etc. And it qualifies the primary steps through which data link is another one. Physical, yeah, I mentioned physical already. I think I've covered just about 6 of the 7 there. I can't think what the 7th is, but it offers protocols through which that transmission and translation keeps talking about. So back in the day, for example, you know, you'd have had, you know, the cutting edge technology would have been valves for you know, for memory perhaps, you know, and everything. It's interesting how everything is going to the application or the presentation layer then at that point. So we're moving everything to software. So there's less of a reliance on the physical and the network. It's going more towards the top end of the stack.
Dude, you just tweet. I feel like we need to do a video or a podcast or something with that generation of IT professional, right, who had all of that experience. I mean, even looking at the Microsoft Excel, I think I posted on LinkedIn the other week, the Microsoft Excel advert from 1992. I really feel like there's a need for some sort of like, just get everyone on a Zoom call or a Teams or whatever, and just talk about it, what it used to be like, because it's going to get lost, isn't it? unless it's like a IT museum or something, all of this floppy disks, you know, physical disks even. My son doesn't have a clue what a physical disk is.
Mm.
You know, when my father started working, he was telling me that, you know, that a computer would take up like a whole room.
Yeah.
Like when you're doing your coding, it would take up a whole room. Like it wasn't just this little thing on a desk, it was a room.
Yeah.
And it was like you had to warm up. Like, warm up? What do you mean warm up?
Yeah.
It's
No,
just
I again, when I started in '97, we were introduced to some of the lecturers down at the University of Plymouth, and one who I will fondly remember, a guy called Kevin Rowley, talked about when he started programming. He'd been programming as long as you know, all of his life basically. But when he started, he was programming in binary. I was just like, what? How? How do you do that? You know, yeah. And there's us with like flashy GUI front ends, and you know, still can't
yeah.
make it work. You know, so.